Okay, good morning, everybody, once more. Welcome to our weekly market outlook, where we'll be looking at some of the best setups, or some of the setups I kind of like what they're doing, and then we'll just quickly look at some of the most common pairs and then what to expect. Okay, so I'd like to start off by looking at Forex Factory. Let's see what to some of the major economic news. We do have this, so this is the first week of the month, so it's going to be quite busy. Especially, on Friday, we're going to be having the non-farm payroll. We're going to be having lots of Fed talks. I think we're also going to be having the FOMC meeting. So there are going to be lots of movement. But as for today, so you could see the only major impact news is going to be by 3 p.m., the ISM manufacturing PMI. So that's manufacturing index for kind of like tracks the what I call it, like the outputs terms of the manufacturing sector. And then on Tuesday, this week is actually quite busy. So there's lots of things coming up for the week in terms of economic news. And you could see all of them here. A lot of them are high impact news. So we could see we're looking at a week with very likely high volatility. And notice, and don't forget, we are in November now, and so we're slowly winding down for the year. We're in the final quarter of the year. The earnings reports for last week for companies like Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, they all came out, and the S&P 500 was up by a lot. So there are a lot of movement in the markets, and we're just trying to see, okay, what to pay attention to when maybe, probably stay away from the markets, probably look for volatility, how to position ourselves based on how they come out. So on Tuesday, we have the cash rates, the ROB, the Reserve Bank of Australia rate statement. We'll see how that comes out. I do expect the cash rate to stay the same as 0.10. I don't expect any increase. But if it does change, if we get, let's say if we get it, okay, who's this? If we get an increase from the cash statement, that could see the Australian dollar really shoot up, right? So but I kind of expect it to stay at 0.10. But we might actually see, the New Zealand, the Reserve Bank of the New Zealand Reserve Bank actually raised rates from 0.25 to 0.5, right? So we could see the Aussie follow suit and raise rates, so maybe 0.15 or something like that. But I highly doubt that. But if that happens, if it stays the same, well, nothing. If the Feds are bullish or dovish, depends on how they are, we'll see some movement there. Okay, I will look at some Aussie pair, but I'm not expecting so much exchange here. I expect this to stay the same. The NZD will see their employment rate and all. And then on Wednesday, we'll have the FOMC statement. So this is going to be key. I want to see how the Fed sound. I would like to know how, markets will be paying attention to how whether Feds are more bullish, what they're doing about tapering. And so the press conference, which will be around 7:30 on Wednesday, will also be one that would likely move the market. So, a lot of key things moving the market on Thursday. So this might be influential for the Canadian because the OPEC meeting, the minutes of depending on how the outcome of the meeting, whether they decide to increase supply, reduce supply, we'll see how that affects the oil, because you can see the price of oil is, at a crazy high, not all-time high, but it's the highest it has been for the past 7 years or thereabout. And the way it's stretched, I'm kind of wanting the oil to drop in price. So we'll see whether we get some reaction. Because here's the thing about the market. Here's the thing I figured over the years is technicals and fundamentals, they actually go hand in hand. So in many cases, you find that, technicals, the fundamentals just only help the technical play out nicely or faster or something. Sometimes they might spike it up and then, but eventually we get the markets move in the direction of technical analysis. Okay, so that's would be an all-day event. It's going to just be the outcome, the way the market reacts to the minutes of the meeting. And then any other thing on Thursday too, we have lots of pound GBP, lot of GBP news. And then on Friday would be the big one where we're looking at the NFP, so the non-farm payroll, the non-farm employment change. Where's that? Yeah, here, and also the hourly earning. All right, so we'll be looking at the Canadian employment rate, and so that will be key. So the non-farm employment change would also be key. So these are some of the. So now, if you're day trading or if you're scalping, you want to pay attention to this because you don't want a situation where you're. So here's the thing about, even though I don't exactly trade fundamentals. I don't trade fundamentals. I never take a trade based on fundamentals. However, I want to pay attention to what fundamental is doing. So if I have an open trade and is in profits and I'm heading into a high impact news, I'll likely want to, if I'm seeing some good profit, I probably want to protect some of my profit, maybe even close out so I don't get on the wrong side of volatility, because you cannot predict the markets in terms of what the news would be. Now I can try and figure out where the market would go after the news, but why the news, you don't know whether it's going to spike up, spike down, and I don't want a situation where maybe I'm in some profit. And then, so if you're scalping, if you're day trading, you pay attention to them. So if you're trading something like the pound or the dollar or the Aussie, and there's a major economic news coming out for one of them, you want to pay attention to know if you want to probably close profits, protect yourself, and that's the way around it. Okay, so enough about economic calendar. Let's jump right into the fun stuff and see the charts. So the charts is why we're here, and I would see. Let's look at the chart. So jumping straight up. So this is, I did talk about this a long time ago. There's nothing interesting here. I'm still looking for a move up. However, we might see some pullback, because you could see we are kind of sitting at kind of like a resistance, right? But I've been buying from here. I have closed out some positions actually. I just have some few positions left up. I'm going to still stay out of this one for now. I have a buy positions that is still triggered. So my stop loss is, now here. I had been buying from here. I close out some profit here. I'll probably look to reload down here if we do get a response. So if we get a response from here, I might look to reload. And also remember, this is the Aussie CAD. So if we get a weakened CAD, this would also support this trade bullish overall. I'm looking to at least push this to this point, and that would be something like I think a 300 plus pips gain overall. So if we pull back to this area, I'll probably look for some supports, see if it holds. If it doesn't hold, maybe we come back to find this price pocket here, this imbalance here, and push up. But it may come down, it may not come down. However, if we break above this trend line, then likely we're going to be heading back up. So I'll be looking for a way to trade this. I already have some positions. I might just want to add some small positions depending on how the markets, or personally, I want to see price drop down and then maybe look to see if we get some reaction and try and take it up. Okay, so let's start off by looking at the US oil. This class is not going to be quite long, or we're just going to quickly look at some first. So let's look at the US oil. Okay, so the price for crude has been, you could see how we're stretching, right? So if I zoom out, here, you could see that from this ridiculously low price down here, where price hits negative, negative, price had more or less rallied, right? Now, this area here is, the last time we broke above this area here was back in something like, okay, the last time let me just, let me put a trend line there. Let's close this. Okay, so the last time we were here, if I just drop this here like this, was back in 2017, if I wasn't mistaken. Let's see. So we're sitting at all-time highs, right? Now, there are a lot of factors actually driving this. There are a lot of factors to why this is happening. You can see how this was resistant back here, resistant, since the last time we were above that price. If I continue to stretch back, you see it was back in 2014. Yeah. So back in October 2014 was the last time we were above this high. And then last month we had oil slice through. So we had oil slice through that area. And so currently we are sitting just shy of 8,500. So we're sitting at $85 per barrel on crude oil. So which is quite a long run, and you can see how the market has just been on almost a straight line move upwards, right? Now, I do expect some balancing out. I strongly believe we'll likely see the price of crude oil drop down to like $60 per barrel between now and the second quarter of next year. But the market needs to respect the technicals first, right? So I'm not trying to force the trade, because I also know that the markets could also want to, so you could, if you look, why is my system dragging? Because if you look up here, If you look up here, you'll see this is, we still have some room to the upside, right? So price could want to stretch up and then test this major resistance here, which is around $90 per barrel, so $19.20 per barrel, before making this this big move lower, right? So I don't want to force the trade. We are overstretched, we are overbought. The price is way, we had some indecision candlestick last week. We've had 9 weeks in a row where the market has posted bullish. So bullish, nine bullish weeks. So it's way overstretched, right? So we could see some balancing soon. Now, I'm not saying it has to be now or it has to be tomorrow or this week, but it will happen, it will happen. So you could see what I mean here. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks back-to-back bullish candles, no bearish candle. And then last week, we had this indecision candle. So is this the start of the correction? I don't know. We'll find out. I don't want to be in the guessing game. I want to be in the confirmation game. So because the markets could, here's the thing, here's how the market plays with you, right? So the markets could, you think, okay, we had this pin bar, the market wants to pull out. We also had this engulfing bar, and then you start selling or you start trading the Canadian basket. And then the market continues to stretch up, gets to this point before making this move down. By that time, you're all blown out here for loss, right? So I don't want to fight the market. I want to flow with the markets. I want to follow the path of least resistance. And so far, the path of least resistance so far is higher. And that is only going to change. Maybe we find a break of this trend line. So only when we break this trend line do this actually start moving. And, I kind of feel there's a strong possibility we could see that this week. Well, okay, now, so that's out of the way. The reason I'm looking at the US oil is because I really love the Canadian basket. So I'm looking at how to trade that, how to take advantage of the move. And so a rise in US oil means, something like, for example, the Naira, even though we don't trade it, as the price of crude oil is going up, is good for the Naira, right? Even though there are a lot of other economic factors messing up our economy, messing up the value of our country. But that's not why we're here. Now, the Naira is shit. Now let's focus on currencies we can actually trade. So the dollar, the Canadian dollar is one that is also one of the major currencies, and is also kind of like tied to not necessarily tied, but a big part of the economy is based on crude because they're one of the major exporters of crude oil. So it means a rise, if the price of crude oil is appreciating, then it's good for them. Right. On the other hand, if the price of crude oil is depreciating, then it's not necessarily good for them. So if the Canadian has been strong, so pairs like USD CAD, EURCAD, they've all taken a beating because of the strength of the CAD. So if we see weakness in oil, we'd also see weakness in Canadian, and I would like to be taking advantage of that weakness. So if we break here lower, depending on what happens here, I'll be looking at things like EURCAD. So EURCAD, I like long, so I like looking for buying opportunities. EURCAD. So EURCAD, I like long. Let's do this. Let's use a different chart. Okay, so EURCAD, I like long. Pound CAD, I like long. Aussie CAD, I'm already buying. That one is already some nice profit. I've closed out some. EURCAD, on NZD CAD, pound CAD, even dollar CAD, right? Although the dollar just still sitting. CAD yen, I like shorts. However, I noticed something while I was looking at the market over the weekend. We could actually continue to stretch up to like a little higher before maybe 94.00 before we see some pullbacks. But I'll come back to that. So EURCAD, you could see how this, just as you had oil stretching higher, EURCAD, in which case the Canadian dollar is the quote currency here, is kind of like inversely proportional. So you're seeing if price of crude oil is going high, so in this case, if the euro is stronger, the price will be going up. If the CAD is stronger, the price will be coming down. So we've seen the price has been stretching down, showing strong strength in the Canadian, similar to what we saw on the US oil. So that means if the US oil start coming down, we're going to likely see this pair pull back up. Now, I kind of like this, I really like this pair long, at least to come back and retest this area here. So I'm looking for a pullback, at least to this point. I actually believe I strongly believe we will come up to this point, but I don't want to be greedy. I want to be able to just, if I'm able to take this all the way up to here, that's fine. I'll be looking to protect some profit, maybe let some of it run. But here's the idea. I did talk about this in my trading room. I talked about looking for buying opportunities, and we did have the market has broken the trend line, but it's just, it's just playing on the right side of the trend line. So this is what I mean. We had this trend line like this, where we didn't necessarily break it, we just phased out of it, right? And so what I'm looking for here is a pushback up here, at least maybe even as high as this. So the reason I want to respect the fact that we slide, so you can see how this was resist, support, support, support. I don't want to now be in the game of calling the market. I want to respect price. I want to respect what price is doing and forget not necessarily what I feel. So this could be, the market could go from high to low, pull back, make a lower high before continuing. So I don't want to force the trade. However, I want to take advantage of this move, even though I actually believe we could go even higher, maybe here before coming down. So that is the trade I'll be looking to play. That's the opportunity I'll be looking to gain on this. Now, this would be solidified more, or will make more sense, especially once we start seeing slide in the US oil, in price of crude oil. And so that's on one hand. Now, what am I looking for? Well, we have some missed pivots. We also have some levels. So if I go to the weekly time frame here, you would see that we are sitting just shy of a major support level. So you could look back, this area was back in February 2020, where we had the price around 1.4260-ish. And so this is kind of like a low price, multi-year low, because the last time we were lower than here was back in April 2017. So this is quite a long time. So usually the last time price was here. You could see the last time price came back down. We had this big push up. Right now, I'm not saying we have another big push up to that same level, but a push up like this, a push up like this, even a push up like this is enough. That we're talking about 300 pips from current price, if and when we do get that signal. So I want to, that is the opportunity I'm looking to take. But if you notice, the reason I'm still, even though I've actually started buying, I'm still looking for, I still kind of expect we could see price go even lower. You've ever heard it could get worse before it get better. So we've actually not technically come down to this level. So we could still slide down before pushing back up. Now I'll be talking about this and explaining more, especially talking about when I'm taking some trades. Especially I did recently put up a trade journal. So on clients, some of you already know, you joined me on my client trading room. So I put out trade journals on the trade I'm taking, entry prices, and all of those things. So to have access to them, well, you have to have a funded account. If you don't, well, enjoy trading without me. Okay, so let's push on. I want to look at the dollar index. So the dollar index is what I want to look at. So let's look at the dollar index, the DXY. DXY, and let's see. So the dollar index, I talked about this some few weeks ago, just simply like that. You see what we're looking for a break of the trend line, we test maybe a push back down. So this is actually not interesting. We are currently going back to retest the highs. So currently from where we are, the reason I don't want to kind of do so much technicals here is we have a lot of fundamentals coming up, so I don't know which way it would take. But here's what I do know, right? The outlook I talked about last week, which is playing out quite nicely, is still on board. We could see some rejection here. So if we get price rejects this area here, let me just pull up my arrow. So I'll be looking for some rejection from this area. On the other hand, if we do not reject that area, if that area fails to hold, then we break above it, it could serve as support, and we could be looking for the push up. So irrespective of this, this whole move here, what the dollar does this week would be dependent on a lot dependent on what do you call it, on the outcome of many of these events, So we have the NFP, we also have the rate statement. There are a lot of factors to pay attention to, right? Okay. I just noticed something. So, okay, so that's one I also want to leave up there. Okay, now let's jump into some favorite. Now, I'm going to just look about two, not more than two pairs. If there's any particular pair you want me to just quickly touch, just let me know. I'll see if I can. But let's just look at the most popular one, which is EURUSD. So EURUSD, very funny one, very, very funny one. So I'm going to take this out. So EURUSD is quite, just it's funny. It went up, then it went down. It went straight up, then it went straight down, and it's kind of like, what exactly is this doing? Well, it happens, right? And it's part of what it's involved in being a forex trader. You have to be able to, being a successful trader is mostly, it's not necessarily about looking for trades and taking trades. Actually being patient to wait for the trades to come to you. You want the setups to come to you. You want the trades to be at you, and then you pull the trigger. You don't want to keep chasing the market. I hate chasing the market. I want to flow with the market. So overall, long term, you all know my idea, my bias on this. I was buying from here. I'm still holding that position, probably in a small, okay, should be around break even. This is where I'm looking to take the market up. So this is going to be like my overall target. That could take weeks, could take a couple of months, but overall, I'm looking for that movement. Now, I did talk about this last week that I'm sure some of you were here. That's after this bullish engulfing, we could come back to retest this area and then, maybe continue higher. And so far, I wouldn't say that's what we're doing, but it looks like it, right? So I want to see, we're likely going to see one of two things happen. This area is going to either hold or it's going to break. I don't expect it to break, but well, I'm not good now, so I don't expect it to break. But if it does break, let me see if there are certain areas I want to be paying attention to. So we have this, which is where we currently are. Then we also have this level here. Let's change that to line charts. Okay, so if we do slice lower, then we could be wanting to come down to 1420. But all the more, even if we slide down lower, I'm still strongly bullish long term. Short term, we might be looking at some bearish turn, depending on the outcome of most of these news events. But I kind of feel we could likely see this area hold. And if it does hold and we do break, the trade will actually set up when we come on the right side of this trend line. Right. So when we are trading on the right side of this trend line, if we have something like, the market breaks, retests, then we could be looking for this trade, right? So this is the trade I'm looking to play on the long term. Now, that is one way it could go. Another way it could go is this, where the market does this, it breaks below, retests, comes down, then breakouts before going. Now, either way, so this is the reason when you hear me say I don't want to force the market, because you might have the direction correct. The market doesn't have to do, the market doesn't have to move when you want it to move, where you want. It might eventually go that direction, but it will move at its own time. So I'm just all in the business of waiting for the market's time, looking for clues in the markets and pulling the trigger. I'll be calling when the setups are actually playing out. I'll be talking about them in my trading room, in my Telegram channel, for clients who have funded their account. So and then in our trading room on Tuesdays, we'll be talking about those opportunities as the setups and as I'm taking some of those trades. Last but not least, let's see how much time I have. Okay, last but not least, I think I have time for one more. Let us look. Okay, quickly, does anybody want me to look at any particular pair? Okay, I don't see nothing, so I guess okay. So let me, what do I pick now? Swiss, not like that. GBP, USD, trying to stay out of that. Okay, let's just look at CAD yen. So CAD yen. Let's use the first chart. Okay. So CAD yen, quite, similar to all the CAD baskets, right? So we have this aggressive move upward, the market is just almost moving up in a straight line. We have broken past previous resistance, and so let me just pull this up. We've broken past previous area of resistance, which should ideally become supports. If I can just move this down. Okay, so we've broken past previous area, but just market is way oversold. Like overbought. The price is way stretched. It's an imbalanced market. So what I mean is, usually when the market push up straight line, it comes back down. At least balances out. When it moves up in a straight line or goes down in a straight line, it tends to balance out. So for example, you could see here, price went straight down, then balances out, right? Or price went straight up, then balances out. So it's actually trying to take advantage of market cycles and trying to play the market based on the way the market works. So we've been going up in this wide stretch. There's nothing saying it couldn't go higher, but it has to find some balance at some point. Now, personally, I feel I am going to be long. I'm short overall. I'm looking for selling opportunities overall, although I have to respect the fact that price could go up a little bit further, maybe before even coming down. So that is the reason why I'm not as aggressive as I was. I'm not as aggressive as I was in terms of looking for selling opportunities, because it seems markets may want to come up to 9,400. So somewhere like here, I think you could see how this area was key. So we might want to stretch up a little higher, maybe get to this point before pulling back down. On the other hand, if that doesn't happen, because here's the market, here's one thing you should have known right now. If everybody's waiting for the market to go up, it doesn't go up. Or if everybody's waiting for the market to come down, it doesn't like to come down when everybody's waiting. It's kind of shy. So probably when everybody's waiting for it to come down, it starts going up. When everybody's waiting for it to go up, it starts coming down. So I don't want to be on the wrong side of the market, even though long term I still like looking for selling opportunities. I want to be selling this back down to this area here. So if I'm selling, and I want to try and take some profits down here, right? So this would be my kind of like target zone. So, but that would be, so if we have a, where's my pattern? So if we have a push back up, come back, we test the backside of this trend line, then I'll be out to sell, because then we'll have missed pivots. I'll be looking to trade this down. That will be first target, and maybe even trade it down to next targets here. But that will be the idea for me on this pair. We've broken out of the trend line. Yes, we have. Markets may want to come back and retest equal highs, maybe even slightly higher highs for 9,400. And then, but that's here. So I'll have a first trade here, and then a second pending order up here. Right, now here's the thing about trading that way. The markets may not get up here, it may just drop down, and in which case we'll find another way to trade it, right? But for now, I'd like to see price maybe get up here for a small trade, and then even if you stretch higher, look for another small sell positions from here, sell aggressively. At least if we get to this point, I'll definitely be taking some profits. So if we come over to this area, I'll be taking some profits in case the market decides to continue going upward, and have some trades left running, and then look to add as a price break below here, because we actually have very nice imbalance here, very nice price pockets here. We are likely going to see, actually, matter of fact, we have price pockets here, we have pivots down here. So there's nothing really stopping price from coming down, maybe coming back down to this area. But I would like to do that in price on time. Okay, guys, that will be all for me. We've looked at the crude oil, we looked at dollar index, we looked at euro dollar, looked at EURCAD, and then now we just finished off with CAD yen. So there are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of other opportunities that I'll be talking about tomorrow in the cutting edge trading room session, and how exactly I'm looking to trade them. So make sure you are part of that. But for now, this will be all for me. I hope you enjoyed the training. Like I always like to mention, it's all about preparation. When you do proper preparation, I have a 6P formula. You know, you've heard it, I don't know, maybe you have, but lack of proper preparation. You know, when you do lack of proper preparation, you know, is what prevents peak performance. So if you want to get peak performance, you actually have to prepare beforehand, right? Okay, guys. So I'll talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed the training. If you have questions, anyway, I don't think I can take any question now, but I'll be stopping the recording now. But if you have questions, you can